We have big changes coming after this weekend, especially with our weather pattern, everybody, but also what's going on into the tropics. Now, summer is going to go out like a line and fall is going to come in like a line as well for this weather pattern coming. Now, everything has shifted the last few days, so I'm going to show you the latest information. If you remember, last Friday, I told you about this heat wave that's going to come back, and it's showing true, being talked about everywhere. I'm going to show you how long this is going to stay and what's coming right behind it, bringing relief. Now, the cool front we have now to the north, that's still coming through for the end of August into the very beginning of September, all the way towards Tuesday. But then we're going to have that warmer anomaly that's going to kick in all this week coming into next weekend. And for the week after that, it is going to intensify while we start getting some cooler air coming back towards north central, the Midwest, across the Great Lakes. But once we go into the middle of September, this is where it's going to dramatically change. And it's going to be more like right at the middle. So it's going to be another 2.5 weeks of very hot temperatures, not only for the south, but all the way going towards the north. Then, once we go through the middle, this is where it switches. This is where a cool front is going to come through for the later part of September. Now, summer is all the way towards September 21st anyway, so this is right on schedule, but it's coming in strong and it's going to go out strong. So we have the new data out, and the data has flipped on what's going to happen on one scenario as we go through September, and that is the whole big change. So you can see this here. When you have that positive EPO, this is what we're going into, that colder and that stormier west side of the U.S., where you have that trough and you have that ridge building from the central to the east. This is what I showed you last Friday. Still, we have that negative EPO, which is what we're getting out of, where it brings that cooler anomaly towards the central and the eastern U.S. It didn't go as deep as this, we all wish, but it did not go that deep. And you can see this even better here on the data. So this is that negative EPO that we forecasted a long time ago, bringing this cooler anomaly. Then remember, right after that, we're going towards that positive. That's what's bringing that big heat dome. All this is a blocking pattern. So when you get a blocking pattern around Alaska, this brings that trough along the central and the eastern U.S. If you get that second blocking pattern over towards Greenland, northern Atlantic. Remember, we had two blocks bringing this big cool front. Then we got this heating pattern that's coming through because the blocking pattern is going to go away. So this is going to bring a lot of heat over towards the central and the eastern U.S. Then we're going back towards a negative again, which is another blocking pattern, all the way to the middle of the month where it's going to change. So this right here, this blocking pattern is very important. This showed cooler air come through. Remember, it was going to be a roller coaster ride all through September. This is because we had a block in the Atlantic, which has gone away. So when this negative comes back, this block, which is all it is going to bring a higher jet stream to the northern U.S., bring heat further towards the north. And then in the middle of September, we're going to change again. So we still have the same outlook over here for the central U.S. all the way towards the 6th, all the way towards 8th, with a slight risk for hot temperatures. This is going a little bit further, I think, as well. Plus, it's below average across the northwest. This is going to bring in the 40s and 50s. I'm showing as we go towards the later part of September, you're going to start getting freezing temperatures coming through. And this is why everything turned into a long duration 2.5 weeks now. So this right here, your NAO. Remember, when you get that negative NAO, we get that blocking pattern over here by Greenland. So we had the negative EPO as well. So we had a block by Alaska, a block by Greenland that brought in all that cool air. But now that block towards Greenland is going to leave. That's going to keep that northern jet stream instead of going down into this trough over here for cool air. But now the block on Greenland is not going to be there. So now, instead of the jet stream getting pushed further south with the cold air, now it's going to go straight across with no blocking pattern, allowing all this heat and all these dew points to go into the U.S. all the way northern. And unfortunately, you can see this here, and it is trending. So here's that big negative NAO, that big blocking pattern that brought in that cooler anomaly with that blocking pattern by Alaska. And before this, show this just lingering on through for September, maybe a couple of high ridges going in and out, bringing that roller coaster ride. Now it's showing we will not have a blocking pattern. This will be a neutral going in and out of weak positive, weak negative. So this heat is going to remain, and there will not be a blocking pattern. This heat will go further towards the north because we're not going into no more of a negative NAO. This is not good. This is going to bring a long duration heat wave all the way towards the middle of the month. You can see this on your data as well, that it is trending with your PNA, Pacific North American pattern. We're going out of that positive pattern, going into that negative pattern, all the way towards the middle of the month, which again, you can see here. So when you get that positive PNA, this all supports that block we had with the cool front that is leaving. But when you get that negative PNA, this is where that trough of cooler air comes through the west and storms, and you get that region of heat from the central to the east. So it's trending all across the data. It's not just one piece. All of it is seeing this 2 weeks of heat that is coming. Also 2 weeks of cool downs. So you can see here with the long range with the Euro that after we get out of this pattern, what I just showed you with the PNA, the Pacific North American pattern, going to that negative, a strong negative, you can see as we go towards the middle of September, this pattern is going to start shifting. And then once we go towards the middle to later part, this is where we go back towards that positive. And this is going to bring the cool fronts back towards the central and the eastern U.S., showing it could even be really strong towards later part of September, the very first week of October, going deeper into the U.S. You can see this here on GFS as well. It is trending with the data, everybody. This big negative pattern, then once we go towards the middle of the month, it's going to dramatically change from that negative towards that neutral and that positive phase. So I pulled out the long range here so you can see everything at once. So our PNA pattern going from that negative to that positive, you can see this here transition from the middle of the month towards the later part of the month. Also, if you look at another piece of the information, the NAO, that blocking pattern, you can see we're going from the middle of the month on, we're going back to that negative, not a strong negative. It is more northern, so it's not going super deep. And the cold air with the AO, the Arctic Oscillation, cold air coming down. So the second portion of September will cool down for the central and eastern United States. And this will bring more patterns like this, where it's going to get the ridging right back towards the west. So enjoy the cool down you have now. In the middle of September, this is going to switch, and it's going to bring those cool fronts over here through the Midwest, the Great Lakes, out through the Northeast, even down through the Ohio Valley, Tennessee, Kentucky Valley, bringing those storms as well with the fronts. But with that weaker NAO not going all the way to a strong negative, it's not going way down here. But climate forecast system, our long range modeling, shows this front could reach way down here as we go towards the very end of September, very beginning of October. So until then, we're going to be in this bubble and really going past the 6th. This is going all the way towards the 12th and the 13th of September. This below average anomaly on the west, this above average from the central towards the east, and with your precipitation with that below average and storms coming across from the west coast, this is going to bring that above average precipitation with those storms as well. So you can see this when you look at your temperature anomaly, that as we go through this weekend into next week, this big above average anomaly from the central to the east, while you got this big below average all the way towards the west. And the west is going to be big time below average. We're talking about over here going anywhere from 30 to 33 degrees below average for this time of year. Then as we go through the beginning of September, showing that big heat wave is going to linger all the way until the 13th. Now this is only going up towards the 11th on the model. So you can see how long range this heat is lasting. Now, even though this is a model, the data is backing up exactly what this model is saying, and it is trending with the GFS exactly. But you can also see this here with climate forecast system. This is our long range modeling. As we go past the 8th through the 10th, this is where the heat's going to leave, and we're going to see a different weather pattern, bringing in that below average temperatures all the way across from the central towards the east and the south as we go later into September, especially towards the end of September, and showing it's coming back again as we go through for October. So we're going right into that fall weather pattern. It's right on schedule on the 21st, to be honest with you, but it's coming in like a line as well, and it's going all the way towards the south. So this is what you can expect all the way to this Sunday, bringing these warm temperatures coming through and bringing very strong heat indices with this as well. Now for each one of these, I'm going to show you the GFS so you can also see what the trend is, showing that this Very big warm up is coming all the way towards the north. And as you go overnight into the early morning hours, the big cool down coming across from the west to the Rockies, all the way across for the north central, where everyone else is still in the 70s with no relief at night over here for the central, the south central, and the southwest, and staying cooler across for New England. As you go through Wednesday, the middle part of next week, you can see this heat is still lingering through with very strong heat indices. Now it's spreading across multiple states all the way towards the East Coast. Once again, this is a Euro. This is the GFS. And as you go towards the end of next week, all the way towards Friday, the heat is going to remain, everyone, and with the very strong heat indices as well. Once again, this is a Euro. This is the GFS. All the way until next weekend. Now we're going by next Sunday. Still showing this big, strong heating pattern. Remember, the data confirms this with the cool down across the west with the very strong heat indices. This is by the 6th. You can see this with the Euro, also with the GFS. But this is where things change. So after next weekend, after 10 days, 11 days of heat, this is going to linger even more across the central and the south. But now the cool air is going to come across from the west, the north central, over across the upper Midwest. This is by Monday, and it's going to stay cooler over here across the northeast. Now, with your daytime highs, you're going to stay in the 70s, but everyone else is still going to be in this big heat dome that's going to build with very strong heat indices as well. So one side is going to be in the 70s, the other side is going to feel like over 100 degrees to over 105 or 10. So once again, this is the Euro, this is the GFS. And it's going to be there all week as we go through this. For the 8th of September, you can see the cool down coming across for the Midwest now. But by the time we get towards the 12th, once we get towards the middle of the month, this is what climate forecast system is suggesting is going to come through for temperatures. Now, big disclaimer, climate forecast system is good at long range forecasting. As far as the temperatures, it is never correct with the temperatures. It's always about 10 degrees off. So where it shows those 70s, more likely will be 80s. And where it shows the 20s, more likely will still be in the 30s. Still a cold anomaly coming through, but it's not as cold or as cooler as you see here. So for the 12th of September, you see that big cool front. This is where it's going to start shifting across the central and the eastern U.S. in the middle of September. Now, this is the tricky part because this is showing even your highs are going to be cooler temperatures. So as you come through for Sunday, look at this cool down coming through for Sunday morning. As you go through Monday morning, look at this coming even deeper. This is the 14th. And it stays that way all the way towards the later end of September, where it shows we're going to that even stronger positive pattern, everybody, just like I just showed you. So as we go towards the 19th, showing this is where we're going to start getting our first freeze coming through and showing for our high temperatures. Look at this. This is your highs for the day. Now, remember, these are going to be about 10 degrees off. So we're going to see the 30s and 40s come back while we still have those 80s and 90s still sitting here for the southern, the southwestern, going through the eastern United States. It won't go all the way across until we get to the later end of the month. The 21st for your highs, the 22nd, and the 22nd for your highs. And the 23rd. Just showing a big cool front is going to eventually pass through the central, the southern, and the eastern United States. So for the 24th through the 30th, this is where we get that blocking pattern back. This is where we get the cold air back. This is where we get that positive P&A pattern back. So you can expect these troughs of cool air to come back once we get around the middle of September and on. And once we get through the 20s of September, that could greatly strengthen, just like what climate forecast system is seeing. I will keep you updated. I know how intense this heat is. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, my whole life. So I know how miserable it is, especially with the heat indices. No one else, if you're not in the South, would not understand that. Now we have to change gears. We got to talk about the tropics now, because what Dolly may do. Now, Tropical Storm Dolly is forecasted to weaken down to a tropical depression, bringing moisture towards the Leeward Islands. And this is well-needed precipitation. Showing also chances for tropical storm force winds, sustained winds of 39 miles per hour. It is greater over here towards the Leeward Islands, where it's up to a 20 or 30% chance for some winds, and weaken down as it goes towards Puerto Rico. Now, as of making this video, National Hurricane Center don't have anything afterwards for an outlook, but I'm still showing not only is this region a chance for this to come back as it goes out through the east, northeast, everything has shifted further south, and there's a chance for this to go into the Gulf. Now, remember, when it goes on this track pattern, not only will it hit shear for a great amount of time, like I showed you last time, but it's also going across land, which will tear apart tropical systems. So it will have a very short time to get itself back together. And sorry for the longer video today, everyone. This heat is going to be a big problem, and this could be potentially a problem too. Right now, I'm showing no threat. But with the latest information, you see chances for a tropical depression as we go literally 4 to 5 days. Shows it going right past the Leeward Islands over towards the Greater Antilles. And as we go 7 and 8 days, this is where it starts headed towards Bahamas and Florida. Now, our winds are showing it could get directed further into the Gulf. In fact, chances for tropical formation afterwards is best right here towards Florida and the Bahamas. See how it's getting a little curve into it? It's a little bit going into the Gulf as well, and it could peel off early. This is what the hurricane model HWRF is seeing. The other hurricane models have seen it very weak going into the Gulf just as tropical moisture. But this is showing a better chance, up to a 40 or 50% chance for this to strengthen back up after it passes by Puerto Rico. Also, the latest on the deep ocean heat shows that we have a lot of deep ocean heat where it can upwell and bring up warmer temperatures and strengthen, but we still have all the shear right here into the Caribbean. What we need to watch out for, once again, is going to be over here for the Western Caribbean going into the Gulf. So this is the region where this system could try and do something later. A very short time, if any. So the latest on track guidance. And you see a lot of these take this out over here going towards 5 days. Even the HWRF, the hurricane model, takes it out this way as well. Some take it a little bit later, trying to form up over here once we go 5 to 6 days. And then there's a group that's taking it further into the Caribbean, the Western Caribbean, where the deep ocean heat is. And these are hurricane models taking it over into the Western Caribbean. So keep that in mind. Showing it's either going to peel off, like we're seeing a few of these go out through the Atlantic very quickly, right past Puerto Rico, or more than likely will stay weak all the way until Tuesday. Having problems with the shear, dry air as well. But then a lot of these show that it picks right back up once we get towards that 5 and that 6 day mark. That is concerning to me. Now you can also see as this is going towards the Leeward Islands, it greatly weakens down. You can see this with the Euro not showing a pressure system, but it also has all this shear that's going to impact that system as that moves further towards the west. Now, once we get around 5 days and that tropical moisture starts moving further towards the west, towards 7 and 8 days, this is where the shear is out of the way now. It is only for a short time what I could see, but we also have deep ocean heat right there, but it has a moment where shear is very minimal and it could form something up before any other changes. You can see this, the tropical moisture comes to that direction, and then that's where it could form something up. It just runs out of time. So with this shear that is running into, showing that shear will leave once we go past 7 days. So the latest possibilities, you can see this with the Euro ensemble as we go literally almost 7 days, passing by the Leeward Islands, showing it could remain weak or it could remain a tropical depression still. And National Hurricane Center has it as a tropical depression right before Puerto Rico. And you can see according to these ensembles, you see how that weakens back down, just pretty much as is forecasted. But showing as it goes further towards the west, it gets away from any shear. This is where it can start strengthening up once we get around 5 days over here by the Bahamas and going west, showing this could actually go towards Florida by multiple model ensembles. So be aware this is starting to look quite concerning. Now, when we get later down the road, it still shows it'll peel off through the east-northeast, but this has gotten a lot closer than before. And these are showing a lot stronger than before as well. Now, in fact, when we look at the Canadian, it's also been trending with the Euro about this staying weak by the Leeward Islands and going further towards the west, just having problems with the atmosphere in general. But it's showing that later on, it is going to try to strengthen back up. and we're seeing a stall, which is not good. We're seeing a stall in the Gulf, which is getting hit with dry air, and it's not really well organized. It's running out of time. So that stall so far isn't doing anything. It's just too far to know for sure. And we're seeing a stall over here with the Canadian. We have seen that with the GFS a couple of days ago as well. But the latest GFS wants to take it even further southern over these islands, over the Greater Antilles, and this will greatly tear up any tropical wave. But it wants to show that after 10 days, that possibly this will come right back into the Western Gulf, find a pocket, and strengthen up. Now, this was only on the latest run. The run right before this, it did not show that. So I will keep you updated. Right now, it is too far to know what the conditions will be in the Gulf in 7 days. Which comes to my last piece of information for this video, and it's going to be about the tropics. Talking about this dolly, what it's going to do. Is it going towards the Gulf? Is it not? I get this message alert on my phone yesterday. My wife got it as well. I don't know if y'all have received this. About needing shelter in New Orleans, because it knows I'm from New Orleans, from Delta. Delta already came. Delta is not even anywhere near us. This is the past. Why did I get this message? And two, did you get this message as well? Something is very off about getting this message. But that is everything I have for you, everybody. Thank you for your time. Hope you have a very blessed Friday out there. We're going into Sabbath once we go through sundown today, all the way to sundown for tomorrow. So I will see you again for Sunday morning, God willing. Above all things, remember God is always in control, everybody. Amen. Before I go, a quick word from our Father. Psalm 121, 7 and 8. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth, even forevermore. Amen. Have a great day, everybody. I will keep you updated. I hope you have a very blessed weekend this weekend. There's a crazy weather pattern that's coming, so I hope you are ready for it. Remember, above all things, all glory goes to God, our Father in heaven, Yahweh. And I always hope He keeps you safe every single day of your life and forever. Amen. Hallelujah. Amen. Have a great day, everybody.